Welcome to the Kingdom Culture Podcast that was created on purpose with a purpose to empower, uplift, and guide others to the center of God's perfect will. Kingdom Culture family, welcome back to the Kingdom Culture Podcast. I hope everybody's been having a great week. This week, I wanted to continue on with the conversation we had last week. So if you didn't watch last week's episode, I talked about feeling at full capacity or being at full capacity and how stressful that can be, how overwhelmed you can feel, or how you can feel very busy but not get a lot done, because we all know that being productive versus being busy is different. So I wanted to continue on with that conversation and give you guys actual techniques to manage your workload better and to manage your tasks better. These are techniques that I've actually implemented into my work, into my life, and they've helped me a lot. So let's talk about them, right? So the first thing you ever want to do is have your tasks in front of you. So what I do every day before bed is I take 15 to 20 minutes and I write down a task list or tasks that I know that I need to get done for the next day. My list doesn't consist of a bunch of stuff. I don't think I have more than 10 things on the list. And then I prioritized, top 3 and then everything else. I've learned that, there is this method called the Eisenhower matrix. But it's a method to help you prioritize urgent versus important. If you guys didn't know, Eisenhower was the 34th president of the U.S. and he was a 5-star general during World War II. The method is simple, so it helps you categorize things into 4 sections. The 4 sections are do, decide, delegate, and delete. So you're going to do urgent, important, not urgent, not as important, and then the tasks will go into these categories. So the do category will be tasks with deadlines or consequences if you don't get them done. Then there's schedule, which are tasks with unclear deadlines that contribute to long-term success. Then you delegate work. These are tasks that must get done but don't require your specific skill set. And then delete. These are distractions or unnecessary tasks that we might feel like we need to add to our lists but don't really get us to, move the needle towards the goal that we want to accomplish. So being very aware of what each tasks, should be helps you. And the Eisenhower matrix just gives you an actual list and categories to break things into, right? The second thing I like to do is to take my most urgent tasks and break them into smaller steps. So I learned this to be called chunking. So you'll take something that might take you 4 hours and you chunk down the time and probably work on it an hour at a time instead of the 4 hours straight. And this will allow you to not feel like you're, just focused on one thing for a very long time and give yourself a break. For me, when I chunk things out, the best example I can give you is the podcast, right? So carrying out a podcast actually takes a lot of my time because I have to research, I have to first think of the topic I want to bring to you guys, obviously, that week. I have to research. I have to make sure that I have my graphics done. I have to make sure I have time to record. And then I have to make sure that I proofread before I record because, I'm not just speaking out of nowhere. I actually have notes that I go through and make sure that you guys have, the most detailed things that I can give you. So I chunk things out. So usually what I like to do is I'll take 2 hours, Monday and Wednesday, 2 hours, and I'll research. So I'll have my 2 topics Monday, and then I'll research for those 2 topics on Monday as well. And then by Wednesday, I already have, my 2 topics. I have my research. I'll outline my podcast episodes. And then when I outline my podcast episodes, then on Friday, I'm recording so that I'm not, every week just grabbing one episode at a time. I record for 2 hours straight. For how many, for the 2 episodes or maybe 3, I think it's the most that I've done or outlined at a time. But I chunk out the podcast stuff every week so that by Wednesday of next week, I already have everything done. Along with the graphics and everything else, I usually do that on Saturday mornings. I wake up early before my son and my husband, and I start working on those. So that's helped me a lot too. So that's the second thing. The third thing is I manage my time. I'm very intentional about my time because, as you know, time's either going to be your best friend or your best enemy because time tells all. So I time block and I use the Pomodoro technique while working, right? So, time blocking. This is a time management technique where you divide your day into discrete blocks of time, each dedicated to a specific task or group of tasks. So I scheduled a set time for each task that I have. So for example, like I said, for the podcast, right? 2 hours. I take the morning for myself. So every morning I chunk out the 2 hours and I work at that time. So it's from like 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. because I go to work at 8, right? I have to be at work at 8. So from 6 a.m. to 8, I'm working on the podcast. Another example that I can give you is my workout routine. From 4 a.m. to 5:30 a.m., that time is sacred, and that's all I do is I work out intensely and I focus, and that's all I'm doing. Another example I can give you is my nighttime routine. So from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., I'm with my son, I'm giving him dinner, I'm making sure that, we spend time together, I take him a bath, and then we get ready for bed. So that's what time blocking is, just pretty much allocating exact times for tasks that you have throughout the day, right? And that's really helped me. And then for work, so if I'm working or I'm, taking my hour of self-development or whatever, I do that by doing one task at a time. So 30 minutes, I'll work for 30 minutes and then rest for 5. I talked about this last week too. This is called the Pomodoro technique, and my mindset mentor taught it to me, and it works wonders. So like, let's say I'm at my 9 to 5 even. I'll take 30 minutes, focus on one task and one task only, work for those 30 minutes, rest for 5, and then go back and finish the task if I didn't finish it. And if I did finish it, then the next 30 minutes will go to my next task. And then during my 5-minute break, I don't look at my phone, I don't talk to anybody, I don't distract myself with anything else. I kind of just sit in silence and I do a breathing technique. That's what I like to do, but you can go outside and get some sun. You can go and pet your dog if you want to, but the point is to not break your focus. It's to give your brain a break so that you can feel like you're not working for very long periods of time, but you're actually being productive and getting stuff done, right? Again, so that was the time blocks and the Pomodoro technique. And the last tip I'll give you is to set boundaries and learn to say no. When I get into my zone of work, I have to say no to going out, meeting friends, looking at my phone, watching TikToks or scrolling or Netflix or anything else that will distract me from my schedules. This can be hard at first. I know it was hard for me because I love people. I love being outside. I love hanging out and stuff. But I needed to say no so that I could get my work done and move the needle towards the right place, right? Another thing that I want to encourage you guys to do is not to add more to your plate, because you already have your outline. You already have your time blocks. You already have what you have to do, your top 3. And so if we keep just adding random things, that's gonna become a distraction. It goes back to the Eisenhower technique, right? Like, what are your distractions? What are you're not supposed to be doing? What are those things? So learn to not add more. Usually if I get my stuff done, so like let's say I have my top 3 and then I add another 3 or 4 and I get all of that done, then I see if I want to add more and if those things are actually going to help me get to where I want to be, right? So you always have to be aware and very mindful of what you're focusing on, what you're working on, why you're working on it, and make sure that you have boundaries with yourself and people. Do not disturb on your cell phone is your best friend when you're doing work, because your phone will not go off. You will not get distracted. Matter of fact, put it in another room. That's what I've learned to do, and it's been hard at first, but you can put it in another room while you're working, and then, take your break, in between, because you also need a break from work. So when I'm done with my 4 to 6 hours of intensely focused work, I go check my phone, then put it back or whatever. I honestly have learned to not be on my phone so much because of these techniques that I've put into place. This is called you building an environment for yourself to be successful. Build an environment where you can work and be focused and make sure that you get the things that matter done first, and then everything else, right? Stick to your schedules. Stick to the plan, because it doesn't matter if you outline everything. It doesn't matter, if you have everything under control, if you learn the Pomodoro technique, if you do not stick to your schedule, if you do not stick to what you said you were going to do. So make sure that you do that, and then you continue to, go back and reflect and adjust. Daily review, reflect on what you have accomplished and what can be improved. Adjust your plan. Always be flexible, but you can be flexible and adjust your strategies as needed, but you have to make sure that you become disciplined on actually saying yes to the things that matter and no to the things that don't. And then, like I said, at the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on your accomplishments and areas for improvement, and allow yourself to be proud of the little things that you've accomplished. Like, I remember I gave myself a reward system when I first started this, because I could not let myself break the cycle of building my environment. So what I used to do is, when I got through the 4 hours or 6 hours, whatever it was, I gave myself a 5-minute break, and then after my 5-minute break, I would write down, like, I'm so proud of you. Good job. You got the 4 hours done. I gave myself a little snack or something. Just kind of like a reward system, so that I myself could feel proud of myself, and it created the cycle and the system that would not fail. So that's another great tip. Like, what is your reward system? As humans, we like to feel good, and if we're rewarded for good work, then we want to continue to do the same thing. So I guess 5 tips for you there. And as always, I give you guys a Bible verse. And the Bible verse for this week was kind of cool. It's actually in Eclesiastes 3:1, and it says, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." This verse reminds us that there is an appropriate time for each activity, and that balancing our time is part of God's plan. When I read that, I was like, wow, that's so cool. The Lord molded us, made us, created us in such a way that He even knows that we have to take time and, be intentional with it, and, balance our time as we need to. So don't forget, Ecclesiastes 3:1, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. I hope that this video was of value of you guys, for you guys. And if you found value in it, please share, put it on your Instagram stories. We know that Kingdom Culture is just starting out, so word of mouth is very important to me, and networking is very important to me. So please share it, like it, put it, share it with a friend, put it on your Instagram stories, other things. And don't forget that I love you, but that the Lord loves you more. Always. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday. God bless.